Hello folks, Why Guy here again. Welcome to my home on this very cold winter day. The name of this video is called The Why Guy and the God Moloch. Now God is with a small g, okay, and Moloch is M-O-L-O-C-H. So my question is this: why do Christians think that God allowed ancient Iraq, which was Babylon at that time, to erase the nation of Israel from the face of the map in the 6th century BC? You know, my conjecture now, you notice I said conjecture? My conjecture is this, that during the 10th, the 7th, and the 6th centuries BC, some of the Jewish kings of those times actually sacrificed their children to a false god named Moloch by throwing them into fire, burning them alive. Children, are you catching me here? If that doesn't gross you out, wait till you hear what else I'm going to say here. As most know, the place of these murders of innocent children took place in the valley of Hinnon, H-I-N-N-O-N. And much later, that valley was given the name of Gehenna. All right? So this is why the Jews at the time of Jesus considered Gehenna cursed, was because of their history. I hope you're following me. And only the bodies of the unrighteous would end up being tossed into the fires of Gehenna. So, because, you know, burial for a namesake and remembrance was so important to the Jewish mindset. That was the whole key. That's actually, I've done videos on Sheol, and that's actually the meaning of Sheol. Is a purpose, is a burial, a place, okay, so that their name could continue on. And I've done videos about that already, and I don't want to chase that rabbit on this one. You know, in every instance within Scripture, and I mean every instance within Scripture where Jesus warned of Gehenna, he was being extremely pragmatic. All right? There was no mystery about it. Yet I can't help but to believe he had a hidden message to the Pharisees and Sadducees who were observing his exchange, his back and forth exchange, his practical interaction with the masses that were gathered there and following him. And he'd come up on the edge of the cliff there that would look out on the valley of Gehenna, the valley of Hinnon. You see, Jesus has been very, like I said, pragmatic. Why else do I believe, or the reason I believe that there was this hidden message, is because Jesus said in Matthew 23:33, he said, "You serpents," speaking to the Pharisees and Sadducees, "you serpents, you brood of vipers, how will you escape the sentence of a trash heap?" Okay? He'd actually said Gehenna. They knew exactly what he was saying. Unfortunately, most modern Christians don't. So, because in the mindset, like I said, in that giant Jewish mindset, he was saying, as in not, you're not going to escape, as in meaning as in not being buried, but burned instead. Your body's burned, but you won't be buried. So your family won't remember you. There'll be no more namesake. It's going to die right here. It's going to be burned right here. See? If not to impress upon them as well that they were unrighteous in the way they were thinking. Okay? I think there was more of a hidden message there, because they were ticked with him all the time. And all their self-righteousness would end up on this trash heap, frankly, where it belongs. Where all self-righteousness belongs is on a trash heap. My point to this video, I find it interesting how both history and the Bible tell us that God used a pagan society, Babylon, you don't get more pagan than Babylon, you know, to actually stop Judah from murdering their children, the tribe of Judah. Because in Jeremiah 7:31, it says, "In the valley of the son of Hinnon, to burn their sons and their daughters in the fire, which I did not command, nor did it even enter into my mind." Now that's recorded as something that came from God's heart. Okay? So why would God stop the Jews from doing something so horrible? Yet Christians believe that God is doing and is going to do the same as the Jews did to their children, and will continue to do so. Even though the Jews did this to their children on a temporary basis, Christians actually believe God is going to continue to do the same thing that they did, except for an entire eternity. Even though it's written that doing something so horrific never even entered the mind of God. And yet Christians still believe it anyway. Something just isn't adding up, folks. You know, I can't help but to believe that if our modern day secular society, there we go, that in our modern day secular society, if we didn't have our laws, okay, that exists, that modern traditional Christendom would still be burning, drowning, beheading, and torturing people who didn't measure up to their religious standards. We have a precedence that's been established in our history that we actually did that as Christians. Okay? So I'm not exaggerating here. So in closing this video, why do I believe this? That Christians would continue to do that? Because anyone who would worship and give allegiance to a God who would create hell for the purpose to endlessly burn people alive, those same people would think nothing of torturing someone to death, as proven in our history. Okay? Just like those people who worshiped Moloch. This is one of many reasons that there's atheists in our world. Hope you're following me. I understand most will disagree with this video. Most Christians will disagree with it. Frankly, most Christians won't watch these videos, and that's okay. Every now and then, somebody will come along. God will set up, I believe, a divine appointment for someone to come along, and he just may use one of these kind of videos to open some eyes, and in God's timing, because our whole walk is in God's timing. It's not in ours, because God is the author and the finisher of our faith. And he who began a good work in us will complete it unto the glory of God, not unto the glory of some denomination or church or religion. So in case that happens, anyway, if you happen to disagree with this, I'll get back to that. I was on a rant there for a second. Give me a thumbs down. And if you have a comment to leave, make sure it's polite. It can be in disagreement, that's fine, but make sure it's polite, or else I'll delete your comment. Give me a thumbs up if you happen to agree with this, please. And feel free to leave comments, even in disagreement, and to help me out. Help me learn too, okay? Because we're all in this together. And look me up on Facebook under a group called the Y Guy Group. It's a private group, but look me up. And I have an open timeline under the name of John Anthony Jones. You don't have to join, or you can check me out, okay? Well, thank you for viewing.